Hello everyone. Welcome to the Brain Bucket Podcast. I am your host, Angel Alejo. Today we have David with us today.
Hey, how you doing?
Introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hey, how you doing? I'm David Soto, born right here in El Centro, in Pearl Valley bred. I've been here for several years. Recently retired and enjoying retirement. Former Marine.
Hell yeah.
Marine.
Devil dog. He's a devil dog.
Hoorah.
So tell me about, I know back in the day, and I see this a lot. I was actually talking to my wife about this yesterday, where my understanding that if a person has a green card, right, which is basically, a green card is residency, correct? They're not supposed to be fucking living in Mexico, going back and forth every day, right? And explain to me why isn't it, and I could be wrong, right? I don't work at the port of entry, but why is it? It seems like to me that people that have a green card are allowed to go back and forth, right? And if they are allowed, why are they being allowed? And how is that compared to back in the old days, for example, where you were able to be like, well, wait a minute, you've been crossing every freaking day. You're not.
Okay, there's two different types of resident aliens, right? The majority of them are C1s that they live in the U.S. That's the main reason why these people come over here. They come over here, they live in the U.S., and they live for a year, 2 years. Then they decide, okay, I want to go back to Mexico. What happens is with those C1s, they come over here, they live, which is great. And they live over here, they work over here in the U.S. and everything. But the ones that they do find or catch that they're living in Mexico and just cross to work over here, they'll change their classification. And when they do that, that person is no longer allowed they can no longer migrate their relatives into the U.S.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's two different classifications. So they burn themselves. If they catch us, says, hey, you know what? You've been crossing every day. Oh, pues I had to move back. Hey, well, we're gonna change your classification to a C2. And guess what? Well, I know it's C1 and C2. And they'll tell me, you know what? From here on out, you can't migrate anybody over here. You're not going to be able to bring your family daughters or anything like that over here. Yeah.
But even if they change, so that classification happens without them having control over it. You as a CBP you would do it. Yeah. As a CBP officer or as an agency, you're like, okay, you know what? This person's crossing. There's a pattern that they've been crossing and living in Mexico. It's out right based on the record. You change the CBP changes that classification. Are they still able? But they're still able to cross. They're still able to work here and everything. Yeah. Is there any? I thought that was grounds for removal.
No,
it doesn't work that way. Even what about back in the day?
No, it's very. Once you become a resident alien, it's very hard. The grounds for removal are very, very hard. You have to do what we used to call like a heinous crime, murder, pedophiles. It has to be something heinous. Even for dope smugglers, if they would cross and they were resident aliens, they wouldn't.
Really?
Yeah, it's really hard.
That's fucking crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, maybe you would have to get caught with thousands and thousands and pounds of weed or dope or whatever. And the immigration judge, that's the one that goes in there and says, hey, you know what? This is egregious. It was 5,000 pounds of dope, and we're going to go ahead and remove you. But it has to be something serious. I remember I was involved in a scenario once where I got carjacked right here in Calexico.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And the guy was he was under the Rodino program. Yeah, you probably heard of that.
I've heard of it.
It's those people that they're allowed to come into the U.S. for the season and work the harvest, work the crops and everything, and then they go back.
Is that still a thing, or that was
they still do it? But now it's a different one. It's called an H1 or H2B visa, and they come and work for the season. The companies that sponsor and bring them over, and they'll pay for their visa, for their permit and everything. And at the end of the year, they have to go back to Mexico. But that guy, he did that. He robbed me at a knife point and everything, and he did another group of people the same night and everything. and he got kicked out of the country.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I remember we went to the first court, which is the criminal court, and then I remember they called me and says, "Hey, you know what? The judge is going to bring him. Now he's going to go to immigration court. Do you want to go?" I said, "Yeah, I'll go out there." And they kicked him out. He says, "You know, due to this and this and this, right here, right now, you're going to be deported back to Mexico, to your country." Yeah, which is good. And you know what? And I wish the U.S. would have like some kind of link with the Mexican law enforcement system. Because I know in Canada, you know, if a Canadian citizen, it's weird because in Canada, on the northern border, if a Canadian citizen commits a crime, which is battery, whatever, they're not allowed to enter the United States.
By who? By U.S. Customs?
By U.S. Customs. Yeah, they'll show up. Or they'll say, you know what, this guy. Well, we'll ask him, hey, have you ever had a crime? Yeah, I did this and this. And wow, you know what? You're not allowed to come into the United States.
Why do they allow it fucking on the southern border?
Because we have no access to their systems. We don't know. All we know is what information that comes through when we look at your document, and that's it. We don't have access to their criminal database. We don't have access to none of their information.
How do you feel having worked in the protecting the fucking country at the CBP at the port of entry for years, for fucking doing it for 30 years, and seeing what's going on in the world today, where they're fucking letting thousands of people in per day?
I like to tell, like, if you have never been there at the port and felt how these people talk to us being a U.S. government employee and everything, or a federal officer, they believe they have all the rights in the world. And unfortunately, that's what the U.S. has done. I've had people come over and I'll tell them, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you this sweet. He says, no, I don't want to eat that. I want to eat something different. And it would just piss you off. And I would tell people, hey, this is McDonald's, man. Either you're going to eat a burrito or Chinese food, and that's it. Well, I'm a vegetarian. Were you a vegetarian in your country? If you were, get the fuck over. Go back to your country.
I don't understand why we allow that. Honestly, I don't understand why the government, the politicians that make these laws, and the Secretary of Homeland Security and all these people that enforce, are supposed to enforce these laws. I don't know why we allow that.
And it's great, and it's crazy to know that these people, who knows how many people are allowed in, who knows how many people or what their background is. I encountered people that they had like $10,000 in euros, $10,000 in Chinese currency. And I'm like, if these people are so hard up that their life is so bad over there, how is it possible they have so much money? We used to have, when all the Russians when the Ukraine war started and everything, we would have family of Russians come in and tell us that they have lived such a hardship trip from Russia to over here, and they had to suffer so much that they spent 1 month in Cancun at a 3-star hotel. That was their dilemma.
Wow.
They had such a hard time. And we would go through their phones and their pictures and consume all over the place in Cancun. But that was their dilemma. It was a 3-star, 4-star hotel, and they were hurting.
Wow.
But yet they're refugees. They're seeking asylum and everything. How's it possible that you could spend a whole month at a beautiful resort place or wherever, but yet you're afraid for your
safety? I don't understand this, and I don't want to sound, maybe people that are going to watch this at home might feel that, this guy's, as a hypocrite. I came from a family of immigrants, right? My grandparents were from Mexicali. They were field workers, right? They would work in Salinas, and they would follow the crop season. My mom and my dad were born in Mexicali. My mom, when she was younger, they weren't well off, right? So she had to work in the fields, but they came here legally. They came here through the process. They followed the laws. They became residents, and then they became U.S. citizens and provided to society, paying taxes and following laws and rules and regulations. My dad became a business owner,
Paid their dues.
You know what I mean? And it seems to me like it and at the end of the day, that's, you know, this country's, unless you're a Native American, this country's a country built of immigrants. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is legal immigration, because I worked for many years. It was maybe a total of 8 years at the detention centers, right? Before the one that was over here on Imperial Avenue, and then the one in by the east port of entry in Calexico. And I got to, every day for 8 hours, 12 hours a day, I would, you know, see these people and get to know them and talk to them. And I would ask them multiple times, you know, have conversations from people from all over the world. And I would ask them, why here? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Why America? Why'd you come here? Oh, well, you know, I'm asking for asylum and this and that or whatever. But why in America? Why not any other part of the world? A lot of these people crossed the freaking ocean to get here. They could have
Mm-hmm.
stopped somewhere else. You know what I mean? And a lot of the times their answer was, believe it or not, oh, because right here in America, you know, America provides for you and you don't really have to work. Like that. Like they're already coming with that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we letting these people in? When we have homeless veterans, when we have a freaking drug epidemic, and we have our own problems, why are we letting all these other problems in and being the police of the world before we deal with our problems? You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I don't know what needs to happen for people to understand the burden that it's going to have on our society, on their hospitals, on the, you know, if one of these people, my neighbor brought up a good point the other day. If one of these people cross over, you know, coming into the country illegally, they break their leg, they're going to get medical treatment.
Mm-hmm.
If you hop the fence over to Mexico and you break your leg, you're fucked.
Yeah.
No one's gonna pay for your medical treatment. You know what I mean? And I just think it's unfair for the people of this country that are paying their dues, that are paying taxes, and are struggling as it is day to day. You know what I mean? Everyone has a struggle, and it seems like we're forgetting about our own people.
And you know what? You're very right, because they used to have a program called Whitfoot that in Miami, in Florida, all those Cubans that came over, as soon as they would touch ground in the U.S., that was it, man. They were in, they made it. And I remember I used to hear that they used to give each one of those $10,000 just so they could go on their way and start whatever they wanted to do. I'm like, nobody ever gave me $10,000.
That's crazy, man.
You know, I don't remember when I used to be in the Marine Corps. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I remember nobody ever giving me money.
Yeah.
How's it possible that they give free California? I think they just passed a law that every illegal immigrant that comes into California, they got free medical, free dental, and everything. And I paid my dues. I paid taxes every year. I don't got free dental.
That's crazy.
I have to go to Mexicali to get my dental treatment. You know, how's it possible that these guys are going to get all this stuff?
That's unbelievable. I don't understand I don't understand how California is doing that. We have our streets in you go to San Francisco, San Diego. I've been to San Diego recently, like 2 weeks ago, and you go down like up by downtown. It's full of homeless people.
Yep,
full of homeless people in San Diego.
Like going towards Petco Park.
Yeah,
there's
everywhere
G Street
in the sidewalk. Everywhere in the sidewalk, and we're worried about, and we're giving money and Medicare and medical, you know, all this other stuff to other people that aren't even here.
Well, just look at these people when they cross, and we have them detained at the port for 3 or 4 days. As soon as they come in, we have a doctor on call that works there at the port every day. And as soon as they get there, okay, I got this illness, I got this. CBP goes to Rite Aid and gets a prescription for them.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
And CBP is paying for all. You go in there and say, hey, you know what? I got allergies. I got cancer. I got this. I got rheumatoid arthritis, whatever. Okay. The doctor writes up a prescription, goes over there, and every hour or however long, hey, Mr. Jones, come here and get you got to take your medication.
That's
you get
crazy.
medication.
That's crazy.
No, but that's
And
you know what? And it's weird right now. Like they're saying, let's close the border. Let's close it.
yeah,
But they don't realize if it'd be like if they come over and say, we're going to close the port of entry. So what happens like me, that I just went to Mexicali and I'm an honest citizen. I'm a tax paying dues citizen and everything, retired from the federal service. So that means I can't go to Mexicali and cross knowing that I'm not going to be able to cross back into the U.S. I said, I could see them saying, okay, how about if they say, let's stop the all these asylees, let's stop them.
yeah,
Let's stop Border Patrol saying, no, we're not going to process anymore. Like the POE, when we're doing that, when Donald Trump was here, we would say, you know what? Send me 20 people. And that was it. We would process 20 people. If they qualify, fine. If they didn't, go back to Mexico. But now it's like, hey, everybody come in. We're going to give you an A number and report whenever it shouldn't work that way.
that's crazy.
I could see them, hey, close the port, meaning you're not going to be, you can't close the port of entry because there's a lot of people just like that work in the U.S. and there's a lot of people that work in Mexico as well. Maquiladoras, for Honeywell, for Hewlett Packard, for all these companies that they're engineers and everything, but they work in the U.S. They live in the U.S., but they work over there.
Yeah,
that's where the companies there. They're based out of there. So would you have to tell these people, hey, you can't go to work today because you're not going to be able to cross?
I mean, the it's like everything else, right? Like you just because one or a group of people are messing it up, they shouldn't be they shouldn't fuck it up for the rest of us, basically. You know what I mean? Hold those people accountable.
Yeah.
Hold those people accountable. It's like you're saying, you're a law-abiding citizen, you did your time, you served your country, you retired as a federal employee. You know, that's fine. But the people that are coming in here, especially ones that are doing it illegally, how is that going to deter anyone that's trying to do it the right way? Right, that's waiting years to get their green cards and doing it the right way.
They pay their money.
They pay their money. They're waiting the time. They're doing everything right. How is that fair to those people? How is that fair to those people compared to the people that just go in, ask for asylum, or cross the border for Border Patrol to get them or whatever, and they get released into the country?
And it's like if you go to San Diego right now, as soon as we go up Jacumba, right there, that tower, they got all that encampment. They're already illegal into the U.S. So how can you say that they already entered the U.S. illegally?
Right.
So how could they be a candidate to request political asylum if they already broke the immigration laws?
Yeah.
How's it possible? I remember I went to San Diego a couple of weeks ago and it was raining. It was really bad. The weather's bad and everything. I went over there. I don't remember I went up there for. And I remember I saw a whole bunch of news media and everything out there. And it was CNN over there. And a group of Chinese went up to them and they were pissed. They were pissed because it was raining, it was cold, and U.S. Border Patrol didn't show up and pick them up and take them in for processing. Who asked them to be there?
Exactly.
You know, I didn't ask them, hey, you know what? Break into the U.S., be there illegally, and then you're going to over there and be demanding of what we have to do?
Exactly. It's like letting you into my house. It's like letting someone into your house and demanding shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, you don't have milk.
Yeah.
Or you don't have this.
They start complaining because they don't like fucking Captain Crunch and shit. You know what I mean?
I'm allergic to dogs.
Yeah. Exactly.
I said, well, who in the fuck invited you?
Exactly. Well, then fuck you. I'm trying to help you out. Like, get the fuck out of here then.
You know? No, and it's weird the way, and politicians, honestly, U.S. politicians don't have a grasp of reality.
Yeah.
The president, honestly, he doesn't has a grasp. I don't think he's been to the southern border.
That guy's fucking.
I don't think he's been to the southern border. The politicians say, yeah, close the border. Just imagine what the revenue is going to cost. Just imagine of all the trade that they're going to stop. Now, okay, don't be stupid and just say close the border. Think about it and say, okay, what we're going to do is stop processing all those people requesting asylum. And just tell them no. You know what? If honestly, the majority of the U.S. citizens, if they would realize, and not U.S. citizens, of U.S. people would realize the financial burden that the U.S. is going through, they will be outreach. The majority of those people that cross, the majority, not all of them, they have medical issues. And who's paying for that medical bill? It's the U.S. taxpayers.
Exactly.
And I think it's very unfair because me personally, myself, I have a daughter that has a medical issue. And guess what? I can't find a provider for her. I can't find a provider for her locally, but yet the U.S. bends over backwards for a person from Nigeria, a person from Ecuador, a person from Venezuela, just because they decided, oh, you know what, I'm going to go to the U.S. and I'm going to get something for free.
Yeah. I've heard stories where the hospitals in Yuma, Arizona, for example, are so they're packed with inundated with illegal aliens that girls, women go show up to give birth, and they're packed. They can't take them. They have to fly them or take them in an ambulance to Phoenix or other, Tucson or other parts of Arizona, because they're packed. There's no room for the citizens because they're all the illegals that are coming in. The hospitals are packed, and I don't understand what needs to happen where, other parts, if you're not from the border, if you're not in this line of work, the rest of the country doesn't really have
the concept.
They don't have an idea. You know what I mean? They base it on whatever
they're being fed by the news media.
You know what I mean? Whether it's Republican or Democrat, that's the only thing that they know. They don't understand the fucking reality of it.
Well, just look what happened in New York a couple of weeks ago, where those migrants beat up those two cops. They didn't put no bail on them. They didn't do nothing. I said, my first thought came or went back where the Marine Corps showed me. You got police call your own area. Yep. And you know what? I would say, do a civil patrol.
Yeah.
Get some civilians, go there and just whip their fucking ass.
Yeah.
Get them so bad and just throw them on a fucking bus back into Mexico, and that's it.
But here's the thing: I think society is so fucked up right now that if someone were to do that, it's almost to the point where you can't even speak about it, because then it's a hate crime, because then you're a fucking racist. No, you know what I mean? It's almost to that point where you can't even you're almost expected to just deal with it. Shut your mouth. Don't say anything. Don't complain. Don't just take it.
We're being told to take a bite of a big old shit sandwich.
Yeah.
The Marine Corps used to say, you know what, you're gonna have to take a big old bite of that shit sandwich. And that's what they want us to do. Yeah. You got all these guys, shit. They cross. Okay, we're gonna give you a date and time. I recently went on a trip and I was at an airport, and there was groups and groups and groups of people. And I could tell them, I noticed what it is because I worked there. And you could see the tracer on them. They have a GPS tracker on them, the ankle bracelets. Yeah. And who's paying for these flights? We are.
Yeah.
The U.S. is paying for these guys. Well, I have a relative in Idaho, wherever. Mm-hmm. And boom, they'll fly them over there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And we pay for that deal. And it's so crazy because we're here, we're seeing all these people cross, but yet the guys from DC, they're not within reality. They don't see the whole concept that we're living through.
Yeah.
They just get those little bits and pieces or whatever that they think they're seeing or they're acting on, but they don't.
Yeah.
All these people just crossing illegally. The U.S. is giving so much money, and we're going back right now to involvements like Israeli, Ukraine, and everything. I know they're people, they're countries that we have an allegiance with them and everything. But at one point, do we spend all our ammo with other countries? In what's going to happen to what's going to happen to our ammo? Are we going to have that ammo if we ever need it?
And that's the thing that I don't know why politicians and people in charge are doing that. And I don't understand. You have to look out for your well-being first, of your people, of your country, before you start helping anyone else out. I saw a report earlier this week, where I think it was Congress proposed a bill where they want to give more funding to Ukraine than the funding that the Marine Corps is going to get. Are you fucking kidding me? You know what I mean? Like, who
Where does that make sense? Who writes these bills?
Who? Good luck with morale once the fucking word gets out to the Marines, and you know what I mean. You think what about it? Think what it's gonna do to morale. Think about the message that you're sending to everyone else in the world, right? All the other the message that you're sending of weakness to everyone else. Like, what? Take care of your people first. Why is it? And here's another thing. Why is it that we're the ones forking up all the cash, the majority of the funding, else, when it's a country that's way across the fucking world? I mean, you know, I feel bad for them. God bless their souls and everything. But why aren't fucking is Germany and Europe providing fucking money? They're the ones right next to them.
Or Poland.
Yeah.
Or Switzerland.
Yeah.
They're all
right there.
How much money are they providing?
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, how much money are they giving up?
But no, we got to get fucked. When we fucking do taxes this year, we're the ones that are gonna feel it.
I remember when I was working, when I was at my job, I used to buy a lot of stuff out of my pocket just to be able to fix the border or just to be able to fix the fencing that was broke. I used to take my own welder. I used to do all that time. And I never asked the government to give me that money because I know I was gonna get it.
Yeah.
I have to go through so much red tape just to buy a spool of welding wire.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah.
But they're so worried about everybody else.
Yeah.
They're also the U.S. is the country of freedom.
Yeah.
It's made out of immigrants. All right, I understand that, but goddamn, have a hold.
Yeah.
Have a hold, or make sure because I could fingerprint everybody. They fingerprint every motherfucker coming in.
Yeah.
But what good does it do if we don't have access to their database?
Yeah.
What good does it? I could fingerprint every Russian that came in, and we used to have a lot of them when it just started. Ukraine war started. We used to have tons of them. Mm-hmm. We would have motherfuckers. One of them almost hit one of my officers with their car, almost ran through and everything.
I remember seeing that in the news. Actually, and I think we had him one time because I think he got arrested and he got prosecuted.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I remember.
And I remember I used to be so fucking pissed off. We still had to baby them.
Yeah.
Hey, don't say this, don't say that. And honestly, I think I was at the end of my career where I would just go crazy, man. What are they gonna do? I'm already fucking leaving.
How does it work, for example? And correct me if I'm wrong, but there's, for example, asylum laws or immigration laws that are already in place, right? But the administration doesn't allow you to enforce them or changes the policy on how you're going to conduct your duties. How does that work?
Of course, what happens is in that case, a lot of port of entries or districts. You got to remember we have different field offices. We got San Diego, we got Texas, we got Tucson, and a lot of people will do it different. Hey, you know what? We're going to allow these people to come in if they don't have any violations, if it's a family group. Tucson might do it different. Hey, you know what? Tucson, we're not going to allow anybody to come in if they don't have no credible fear. And that's a big old thing that they say. What do you want? We wouldn't tell them, but yeah, you had that one dumbass that would say, do you want to request political asylum? Yeah, political asylum. As soon as they would say that was it.
Yeah.
You have to open up, you have to throw out that regular red carpet and everything. But the thing is, a lot of people, a lot of different ports would move or would change the verbiage on who would be allowed to come in and who would not. And we had a lot of people with a lot of knowledge who would say, you know what, according to INA, they can't come in.
Right.
But I'm just a supervisor. And these guys are like 14s or whatever, but they know better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Regardless if they don't, but they're on that position where they know better than everybody.
Well, I think at that point it's also very a political decision at that point. You know what I mean? You're higher up, and it's more of a political thing. You know what I mean, than anything else. But
the city council in Calexico, Chamber of Commerce. I remember when we used to do a lot of we had a lot of inspections or whatever. If they would call the bosses and say, "Hey, I heard that the trucks are taking 2 or 3 hours to cross the port of entry." What? They would call us. What are you guys doing? Well, we're just doing our job. No, start processing trucks fast. And it's honestly like the Chamber of Commerce has a lot of pull, and they'll call them. They have their direct numbers to the bosses. They'll call them and say, "Hey, you know what are you guys doing? I heard a customer couldn't get his product over because he had a 3 or 4 hour backup." Then like they say, shit rolls downhill. Then they would call me, hey, Soto, what's going on? Why are you detaining all the trucks? Oh, no, it's because I have a backup. Oh, no, make it work.
Holy shit.
I remember when I started working, we used to have 4 or 5 hour backups, and we would never hear anything.
Yeah.
That was just the process. But now it got to a point where as soon as somebody picks up a phone, hey, I don't like it.
Yeah.
My driver's been there for 3 hours or 2 hours.
And a lot of people don't see your perspective, right? Like, no. Especially, for example, especially living here in the border, for all those people that live here in Calexico or in El Centro and in Imperial Valley in the border that cross normally to Mexicali to visit their families or whatnot, and they don't see the other side of the badge. You know what I mean? They don't see what's really going on, or they don't understand their duties or what you know, the process and stuff like that. And they just think about, because I'll be honest with you, sometimes too, I'm like, man, what the fuck? These motherfuckers 3 hour, 4 hour wait, like, what the fuck are they get apuren? You know what I mean? Like, make it fucking snappy. But I don't. That's me being ignorant to the fact of your duties. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and that could happen, and I see it happen a lot where you got people that cross the border, and they have a mom and pops and 5 or 6 kids, and they all have birth certificates.
Yeah.
So guess what? The officer has to manually enter that information for every one of those travelers. Now, if you had like a RFID card, like a passport card, or the brand new resident alien cards where they have the little the readers, that's when the process goes really quick. But when you have people that, well, I don't have nothing. Oh man, you're manually. What's your name? David Quiroz Nolasco, whatever. You're like, fuck. Entering all that information and then honestly, there's some now the new generation, they're pretty quick, they're pretty savvy. But if you get me, it's a one finger deal.
Yeah.
So you're there, and that's why a lot of people, hey, how come it took so long? Well, that person had 9 people in the vehicle. Yeah. Nobody had an entry document. All they had is birth certificates. I literally, and I think we go back to also what we're talking about. I don't have time to be explained to you why it took me so long. Yeah, honestly, you're like, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and explain to you why it took so long. But that's the reason why I'm telling you right now. That's why it takes so long sometimes. Yeah. Or you got a guy says, oh, I don't have my registration for my vehicle. Well, I have 3 dogs and they don't. And you're like, fuck, you have to go through all this shit and everything. You have some pretty savvy guys. I do have some really good guys that work out there. They know their stuff. And they're pretty good at detecting, hey, thumbs up, thumbs down. And they're quick. Hey, what do you bring back from Mexico? Nothing. They're quick, boom, up the road. I personally myself, I've been through the ringer. I spent 2.5 hours coming back from San Felipe one day. And I finally, after 2.5 hours, I get there. It's just myself. Myself. I had a razor and whatever. I spent a week in San Felipe. The guy asked me, what do you bring back from Mexico? Nothing to declare. Whatever's in the fridge, the cooler, sodas, waters, whatever, right? And this is the guy, and he's like, "Is this your truck?" Yeah, it's my truck.
Are you still working at the time? Is that for
I was still working on.
But he doesn't know you.
He doesn't know me.
Okay.
Okay, that's your truck. All right. What do you have in your truck? I said, just my personal belongings. And I had already given my declaration. And he looks back, he says, is that your trailer? I said, yeah, that's my trailer. And the razor is my razor as well. Okay. So he goes back, gets a license plate for my trailer, does whatever he has to do. Do you have anything in the razor? Once again, I said, look all I have is my personal belongings, which is including my truck, my clothes, my trailer, and my razor, and that's it. And I think I've already been at it for about 2 minutes with him. And he says, well, I'm going to take your word for it. I'm like, well, whose word are you going to take? Normally, the normal process, and this was my normal process, I would have 30 to 50 seconds with a car. That was my normal process. What do you bring back from Mexico? Anything? This and that. I would go through a quick scenario. I would get the feel, boom, up the road. And I would literally go at officers that I saw them. And I would see them because I'd be looking at somebody, hey, that car's still there. All right. And this is me overlooking when I used to be a supervisor. And I look at that lane and says, hey, well, that car's still there. All right. So boom, as soon as they would release that car, then I would start my little stopwatch. I'm like, boom. And honestly, anybody that lasted more than a minute or whatever, I would go out there.
Yeah.
Now, so is there an issue? Is there something going on? Because I already noticed that you did this and this and this to the last 5 cars.
Yeah.
And you're spending 1 or 2 minutes with a car. If you have a doubt with a vehicle, send it in.
Yeah, send it secondary.
Send it in. Have them go in there and that's it. Have them deal with it. Oh, no, it's because I had to. And I would tell officers, I said, why are you knocking on the roof? The last 6 cars, because I was very meticulous in that. I said, the last 6 cars, knock on the roof. What are you looking for? Well, I said, well, what? I said, you don't even know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I said, I could tell you what I'm looking for if I knock on the roof, but you can't even describe to me, or you can't even
articulate. Yeah.
And the poor girl went back out and boom, she did 2-3 cars the right way. And then she started doing the roof thing again. And I called her, there you go. What are you looking for on the roof? Oh, I'm sorry. But it's just stuff like that the regular traveling public doesn't notice.
Yeah.
We get, in my lifetime when I worked there, we had so many scenarios, so many incidents, good, bad. I assisted in the delivery of a baby one time. I went out there and you know what? And the family came back to us a week later, 2 weeks. And they gave us a thank you. It was a little baby girl.
Oh, wow.
They brought us stuff and they said the Imperial County court recorders didn't want to give them a birth certificate because they needed somebody to verify that she was born in the U.S. So I went over there and I called. I said, yeah, you know what? Technically, I'm a U.S. Law enforcement officer. I can't be in Mexico. Yeah. I helped them deliver the little girl and everything. And we delivered them while she was waiting line.
Oh, wow.
We got into the vehicle and everything and we did all that stuff. Unfortunately for us, I've seen people get run over out there. I've assisted. Fortunately, a lot of CPR, a lot of people that passed away. Yeah. You know, unfortunately for us, but no, it was nice. It was a great thing. God, scenarios. I saw people get stabbed out there. You know, online. Window washers. We're talking about window washers that would get mad because one of them washed one more car than he did. He went and stabbed him. But, and you know what? And for us, for that guy that had no documents, no paperwork or nothing, he still got treated in the U.S. They rushed him. They took him to the U.S. They cleaned up his wound and everything. And I don't know if he stayed in the U.S. or not. But those are things that a lot of people don't see that. The traveling public doesn't understand or doesn't realize why the line is so backed up.
Yeah.
You know, it's unfortunate because there's a lot of people that don't have the proper documentation to come in the U.S. or to facilitate the process to be a lot quicker. You know, and that's what happens. And we would call. I would have people call me and cussing me out. Hey, what the hell? It's been an hour or whatever. And I would say, you know what, sir? It's 2-hour backup. There's a lot of traffic. It's a weekend or whatever.
There's a fine line, and it's I'm sure it's difficult to. You want to be productive, not productive. What's the word?
Efficient.
Efficient. You want to be efficient, but you also don't want to let shit slide, right? You don't want to let just because you want to make shit fucking quicker and you want to let people complain. You want to make the traffic flow. You don't want to sacrifice allowing things into the country illegally, illicit fucking drugs and shit like that. You know what I mean? So there's a balance between that. I think the public also needs to understand. And when you're waiting in line lately, depending on because for example, Christmas or holidays and stuff like that, you go to Mexicali, you're on the fucking line 5 hours.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You're waiting for 5 hours. And I'm sure people are thinking like, damn, what the fuck? You know, what's taking so long? Why are these guys?
They're frustrated.
They're frustrated. They're slow and they don't understand. They don't see that. You know what I mean? But I also noticed where, and I'm sure this helped, where you, before you go into, there's like a barrier for those of you guys that aren't from El Centro or Calexico. There's a barrier. There's like I guess you call it a pre-checkpoint.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know, 10 cars before you hit the booth. There's a CBP officer checking for documents. Make sure you have them ready. Because I think what was happening is, and my wife is guilty of this all the time, you're waiting in line for hours. You're up next. You pull up to the booth, right, with the CBP officer.
Have no documents.
And let me get him. You've been fucking in line for hours. You know what I mean? And I don't think people understand that the little things like that add up over so many cars. They add up, and it turns into fucking hours of wait time.
Well, and the reason why why CBP implemented that, and it's right at the boundary line. That's between the U.S. and Mexico. And the reason why the CBP implemented
that's
the borderline.
Oh, no, really? No shit.
Yeah. So if a car comes up and they have no docs or whatever, the officer will stop them right there. And if they and it's happened to us, we encountered a lot of people that they have no docs. We have a good rapport with Mexican customs, and we'll call them and says, "Hey, we have a car, no docs," and they'll come up and they'll return right there. Because what was happening before all this, all these asylum seekers and everything that are coming in, as soon as you come into the U.S., as soon as you break that line, we can't return you back to Mexico anymore because you already made entry into the U.S. So that's why now we have officers out there.
Oh, that's the reason behind it.
That's why we have it. Because we'll stop you. Hey, let me see your docs. We've had U.S. citizens up there. I'm a U.S. citizen and everything. Let me see your documents. I'm a U.S. citizen. I don't have to show anything. We'll call Mexico. Hey, you know what? I can't identify him if he's a U.S. Mexico, he'll return back to Mexico.
So back then, before that barrier was there,
they would come in.
And you're already in the country.
You're in the country. And as soon as they will show up to the primary, to the booth, like you said, it's called a primary booth. As soon as they show up to the booth, we're seeking political asylum. We're fucked.
Yeah.
The U.S. is screwed. And that was it.
Yeah.
So that's why we started doing that. So even in walking, when you walk up, now they have that little cage and everything right there. They have a door. Let me see your documents. Well, I don't have any. No. Or what we do is he's stating he's a U.S. citizen, and they'll radio in, hey, a blue shirt, black shirt, blue jeans, says he's a U.S. citizen. All right. He shows up, says, hey, you know what? No, I don't have any docs. You said you were a U.S. citizen. Well, guess what? You're going back to Mexico.
Yeah.
But no, that's why they do it. That's why we're doing, because we're losing a lot of those people where they would drive up, boom, go all the way down. Hey, I don't have any docs. I'm requesting political asylum. Pues, ya los chingamos.
Yeah, you have to deal with.
Yeah, we have to deal with it. You know?
What happens when? Is there any? How does it work? For example, that officer that's right there right at the line, like that divides Mexico and the United States. Is there any buffer area? For example, is there any like scenarios maybe, or if something's happening on the Mexican side, even if it's 10 feet on the other side, you know what I mean? Is the officer allowed to help? Or
no, and we've had a lot of those encounters. A lot of them. We've had burning cars. We've had stowed vehicles. We've had everything. But believe me, they're not allowed. We're not allowed to go in there.
Really?
We're not allowed. We'll just call Mexican Customs, vice versa. Mexican Customs call us. Hey, you know what? There's a car that failed to stop over here, or we return them, or what have you, and we'll react on our part. But for us to go over there, you know what? And it goes on a personal basis. And if it was me, and if I would be there, and if I'd see a burning car, I would haul ass, and I'd save those people.
Yeah, of course.
I'd take the ass shoeing anytime. I couldn't sit there. But then you have a lot of people that don't have that. They don't have the balls just to do. Hey, you know what? Fuck it. You know, somebody's dying. Somebody's getting choked out. Somebody's
Yeah.
You got to react. It all just depends on the situation, right? If it's a life and death situation, of course you're gonna react.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't live with myself just watching something happen, burn or whatever, and somebody die, without me just saying, oh, because I couldn't cross the border.
Yeah.
And we used to do that a lot, Fifth. We used to do that when we used to close the port, we used to put barricades up there. And I used to drive my forklift into the Mexican side in the morning or at night to move barricades and everything. And our bosses would call us. Hey, we saw you in the camera. You went into Mexico.
Really?
But I'm like, but nothing happened. Nothing happened. Because we usually go open at 5 a.m, move all the barricades. That way all the cars could cross through. And there's nobody up there. And it got to a point where we would tell me, you know what? There's no Mexican customs here. There's nobody up here. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to go ahead and move all the barricades? Because the barricades, they're K-rails. They have concertina wire and everything. Because we're having a lot of people, asylees. I call them illegals. Mm-hmm. They're running through the bridges, running through there and everything. That's why we developed that system, the barriers, And it worked for a while. Now they have a big old gate out there. But, there's a lot of stuff that's in place that the normal people, they don't see it, man. They just don't see it. They don't understand it. There's some times where I don't have the time to maybe now that I'm retired, I could explain to you, hey, this is why we do this. This is why we do this, and this is why it's going on. I remember we used to have people that try to jump the fence. They get caught on the fence, or they wouldn't come down. I used to be hardcore. I said, you just shoot them with pepper balls, man. Yeah. Eventually, the guy's gonna fall down like a little monkey. Yeah. He's gonna eat shit. Either he's gonna eat shit in the U.S. or in the Mexican side. I said, but it was a scandal because one time we had a guy up there on the bridge, and he was there. He was on the fence line for hours and hours and hours, and I'm like, and we're looking like fools. And Border Patrol went over there, and because one of my buddies calling, he's a Border Patrol supervisor. Hey, Soto, you watching the news? No, what's going on? And he showed me, hey, check it out. Why don't you guys just pepper ball this shit off? Yeah. The guy eventually is going to fall down.
See, yeah.
And he made a parade. He made it's because.
And at the end of the day, it feels like we try to avoid consequences for people's actions. Like, you're trying to fucking jump the fence. You're committing a crime. Deal with the fucking consequences. You got stuck up in the fucking fence. You know what I mean?
It's like one of my really close friends. I went to the Marine Corps with him and everything, and he was involved in the shooting at the port. And I remember the news media, when they came up to do the interview with the port director, they said, well, didn't he have time to tell the guy to back off? And if they would have seen the video, the whole transition, I think it took 3 to 4 seconds, bro. And it was done. Yeah. And at what point in your mind are you going to have time to say, get back? Now, if you see a subject walking up to you, hey, you know what? Hey, just stop right there or whatever. You do your things, right? But when this guy's right there on your grill, when this guy's right there in front.
I don't think the public understand that and realize
the law enforcement side, the defensive side.
Exactly, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed another episode of the Brain Bucket Podcast, where we interview people from different backgrounds. We try to pick their brain and try to get the raw truth and see things from their perspective. Feel free to follow us at the links below. You can also follow us at the Brain Bucket Podcast. Share, subscribe, leave comments, and share this with your friends. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Till next time.